Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio here with you on, and yes, Matt, I'm going to be a meteorologist, a wet and wild Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning or Wednesday evening. Fuck, I forgot what time of day it was. It's so dark outside. It could be 8 o'clock at night for all I know. Snow on Monday, perfectly clear and sunny yesterday. Today, deluged with rain. I know this is a podcast, but we basically treat it like a radio show. It's fucking raining outside, and I'm not excited about it. And I'm not liking this forecast. You said something like 90s. We don't have 90s on the docket anytime soon. It's like 40s, 50s. This sucks.
Well, I thought it was supposed to be 90s next week. I guess we are kind of turning the meteorologist in the opening segment for the show. I guess I was going to wish good luck to everybody in the upper Midwest that's been sandbagging, and I mean like actual sandbagging, putting sandbags together, because you got a hell of floods coming, and we already had some fun going on in La Crosse as it is, brother.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I was looking at something this morning. La Crescent residents, which is the other side of the river from us in Minnesota, being asked to evacuate some of their homes on North Shore Road, I believe it is, sort of where the bridge and an underpass comes into play. And apparently we're going to hear see historic flooding along the Mississippi River. I saw the river up, I should say, really, really high a few years ago. So I've lived out here in La Crosse 6.5 years now. I think it was 3.5 years ago, maybe 4, if you can recall. The river flood stage had gone so high, it nearly crested into the actual park over there of Riverside Park.
Yep, for sure.
Which was incredible. And then it gets so low at times, you'd think it'll never reach this stage again. Hell, there was a marsh out near Goose Island going down to Stoddard that used to be like a lake, and then it turned into a field. And now I'm assuming it's back into a lake.
Yep. I know there's a couple trails down in the swamp area for Hickson trails that are already flooded. And then our, Ty Backbone in the kitchen, he lives up on French Island, and the park up in French Island is already underwater too. So it's gonna be a really wet and rainy next couple of days for sure. And it's just probably gonna get worse.
Well, listen, I'm all for wet things. I really don't have a problem with wet, moist, any of these things. I'm a fan of in many respects, not when it comes to the weather outside, but I do think that Thomas is he's picking up what I've been putting down. Yep. Only in Wisconsin can you have all 4 seasons within a 1 week span. That is for sure. It's
I guess I'm to the point where we basically just have winter, the thaw, and then summer. That's basically where we're at.
Yeah, it's it is what it is. And I'm not, like I said, I can play a weatherman. I can never play a meteorologist. Like, that's an actual science, but being a weatherman is not. One of our Facebook group members checking in saying,
that's Jason Brockmeyer.
Morning, boys.
Morning, Brock.
Good morning, Brock. How you doing? We've got a lot of ground to cover this morning. Mike Schmidt will be jumping aboard the Sports Carnival Carousel. 8:30, NSU Wolves head coach, our uniquely qualified Wednesday contributor. We'll talk about the Milwaukee Brewers picking up another victory last night versus Seattle. Christian Yelich, as a matter of fact, the subject of this morning's poll question. So take a look on our Facebook group page or our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney. Answer this morning's poll question. We'll start to roll out some early results to that as we continue on. Not so great news for Giannis and the Bucks tonight. We'll talk about that game 2 versus the Heat. We do have a big celebration coming up at the Recovery Room tomorrow for 420. Our buddies from Stacks Family Farms going to be doing something kind of fun, so we'll get into that. The NHL postseason saw a disappointing start to the Vegas Golden Knights postseason hopes. They got just absolutely thumped at home, and we've got more possible rule changes in Major League Baseball, Matt. I'm not sure if you saw that article that I posted on our Facebook group page yesterday, tagged you in, but the Atlantic League, which is and has been sort of the testing ground for many of Major League Baseball's newer rule changes, is once again going to be the testing ground for some more possible rule changes in Major League Baseball. And there's one that I thought was really, really interesting. So we'll get into all that as the show progresses on. But, like I've mentioned, we've got this big Stacks 420 thing coming up tomorrow. I just want to remind our audience members that, if you're in for some fun, if you're in for some really, really quality CBD hemp products, and if you want to try, I don't know exactly what you've got coming on tap for us, but if you want to try a CBD/hemp infused new line of adult beverages, you got to come and join us tomorrow, 420 at 4:20 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I know there's a lot of things going on with Stacks Family Farm. They're going to be in a couple different locations. I don't know if hopefully Johnny will be able to stop by tomorrow, but he came in the bar the other day. He got us a bunch of gummies, some smokes and everything to give away, some hats and hoodies. And then we do have some beers coming in. We're not going to have their Sensi in stock yet, but eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to get that in the bar.
So do we have anything that's like CBD infused coming in?
Yep, we have 2 barrels downstairs already that we're going to try to get tapped today and get ready for this everything tomorrow. But the party will start we're starting giving away the free swag and stuff at 4:20 tomorrow and 4:20.
I'm so excited. And I'll be bartending today, tomorrow, Friday. So come on over and see us at the Recub if you want to hang out again for a really fun 420. You know the place to be. There's a lot of different 420 celebrations going on, but I don't know if those different 420 celebrations will be as, truly homogenous as ours will be at the Recovery Room, because we have got some true organic 420 fans. I've been a fan of 420 since before it was a popular birthday for like Queen Elizabeth.
Well, everybody, the patio, obviously, it'll be hopefully a little bit better than today, but it might be a little rainy, but, we'll be able to smoke some CBD joints out there tomorrow. And we got some munchies for everybody that's coming in. So we're going to have some food specials, some drink specials, and giving away some stuff tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I don't like the thoughts of rain. You need to stop with that. It might be raining. Stop it.
Hopefully it's better than today. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fine. Again, today's a great day to come on inside, starting at 11 this morning. Wings and beer. That's going to be a really fun special. All right, we're going to step aside, take a really quick pause. We'll come right back. And listen, we've got to talk about the less than great news that we found out about Giannis coming up against the Heat tonight. So stick around. Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Coming to the Discovery Channel this fall, Living with a Confederate.
Hi, my name is Travis Tay. A lot of folks around here call me Tay-Tay. Yeah, I share a house with my second cousin. Name's Chandler. He's what some folks around here call eccentric. Why, hello there. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Chandler Worthington III, and I must admit, them Northerners, they get under my skin. Make me hot under the collar, with all that northern aggression and everything. I always say, you boys just keep your Yankee doodles out of my sweet potato pie. At least for now, anyway. That's my little joke. Stars and bars may fill my heart, but hopefully, a chiseled chin and a barreled chest fills my loins. See what I'm saying? I gotta deal with that 24/7. I'm getting the vapors just thinking about them Northerners coming down here on their big old steed.
Confederate.
Yeah.
Want to say what's up to our friends over at BetUS. If you're looking to get yourself into some wagering for any of the NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball action, maybe you've got some thoughts on Chinese basketball or even Azerbaijan table tennis, you can probably find odds for that at betus.com. Enter promo code Carnival. Also sending a special shout out to some friends, Matt, in West Salem. Contractor Supply of West Salem is going to be jumping aboard the Sports Carnival. Wonderful. As a new premier member of our sponsorship group. So we're excited about that. So thanks to Kevin and to Nick and to all the guys out there, Contractor Supply in West Salem. That's where most of the folks that I know in construction, like this Weezer Brother hat that I'm wearing today, the Weezer Brother folks who gave me this hat at Contractor Supply of West Salem get most all of their building supplies for all of their projects right there. Again, Contractor Supply of West Salem. Can't wait to get you guys on board here. And if you're just joining the program, maybe you've heard about us for some time and you've just, kind of found us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch. Love having you aboard. If you want to check into the program with us, lots of folks do it on YouTube, or you can go to Twitch or the Facebook group page. And I think it's my own Facebook profile will all sort of filter in messages here to us. So whichever way it is that you're able to pick up the program, you can participate. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch is mentioned. And we sure do appreciate you. As I said before, and if you're just kind of following us now, Mike Schmidt, NSU Wolves head coach, jumping aboard 8:30. We got to get right to the big news, though, with respect to the Milwaukee Bucks. 6.5-point favorites tonight versus the Miami Heat, Matt, at home at the Fiserv Forum. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, after clearing the MRI without any sort of major injury news, Coach Mike Budenholzer said Giannis is progressing and he's getting better, but Giannis' status is now listed officially as doubtful for tonight's game versus Miami. The Miami Heat, I tell you, are a team that I think the Bucks could beat, definitely without Giannis, but I don't want to see this injury for Giannis be one of those things that, as the postseason just began, game one really is what we're talking about for the Bucks for the remainder of the postseason. I just hope this guy can get better near 100%. If Giannis isn't near 100%, the Bucks won't win a championship. Like, that's just reality. They will not win if Giannis isn't close to 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. They won't be able to win the championship. If they come correct, they should be able still to win the series. I think what Budenholzer came out and was kind of correct, because I have actually broken my coccyx before, so it is.
You've broken your cock before?
Yes, my coccyx, my tailbone before.
Okay, yeah, you said that really interesting. You broke your cock before.
Coccyx.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I needed to pronounce that YX on it before. But I guess, yeah. What Budenholzer was saying was right there is Giannis will be able to find out how much he'll be able to move and not move just by his daily activities, just whether it's moving left or right. Those are going to be the things that I think will affect him primarily. If he can go out there and ball and he's healthy, obviously the baller in him should take over. But it's just like the daily activities that you have to worry about when you have a fall like that.
Okay, so daily activities like what? Getting up, getting down, going to the bathroom?
Yeah, just like little side steps here and there. They're just random ass movements that you didn't think would actually cause pain, but they do.
That sounds horrible. So that sounds like Giannis is going to be like basically limping throughout the entire postseason.
It sounds like it's just a contusion, not a break or anything. So those are the things that you find out how he's going to be going forward. I think they can still pull it off tonight. Obviously, he needs to get his rest. He needs to be healthy to go forward to win the entire championship. But I do agree with you. They still should be able to win the series without him.
Yeah, they have enough firepower. You would imagine that they should have enough to win the series. But I remember saying this yesterday, and I told this to Ben, even last week downstairs at the Recap. The one team that I was really not excited to see for the Milwaukee Bucks was the Miami Heat.
Yep. There's
something about this Heat team, again, really well coached by Eric Spoelstra.
Scrappy.
But there's something about this Heat team that just doesn't, for me, fit well against the Bucks. Not that the Bucks haven't been. Listen, they've had postseason success against Miami. The year after they got beat in the bubble, they came out and stomped these guys to death on the way to the NBA championship. So it can be done. But Giannis was a monster, right? He was putting it all together. And again, I don't think that Miami's got enough in the tank to beat the Milwaukee Bucks if Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are able to carry the load for Giannis in a 7-game series. But past that, big trouble. Yeah, big trouble if Giannis isn't able to get going, because this Bucks team is good, but not great without Giannis.
I think Bobby Portis obviously has to show up and have a good game as well. I don't know if the people in Milwaukee know something that we don't know, Dave. I'm checking this out right now. As according to the Milwaukee Journal, supposedly as of last night, you can still get the cheapest tickets in the lower level for today's game are going at $79. So maybe they know Giannis isn't playing or something.
Well, he's listed as doubtful.
I'm just saying maybe in Milwaukee they know something, because there's still supposedly plenty of good tickets available for the game. So
yeah, I don't know if they know anything more than we do in Milwaukee here, except for
it out there.
Well, I'm just saying. Internet now pretty much keeps us, all in the loop. I just think, look, if you have a doubtful Giannis for game 2, a team in the Miami Heat who you're supposed to beat, there's going to be a little bit less than fervent interest to get out there. Again, you look at the crowd the Bucks had going in to that game versus Miami. It started off with a nice little, polite applause. It wasn't like the Sacramento Kings crowd. It wasn't like, the Oklahoma City Thunder were during their playing game, where it's just like rabid fans, just nuts for this thing to jump off. But once Giannis hit the floor and the collective gasp of the audience reached its crescendo, that was it. The crowd was essentially dead. And the commentators were talking about that throughout the game. They're like, this crowd has been completely silent, sitting on their hands since Giannis went down. That's the hard part for Milwaukee, right? You have a team and a fan base that was largely apathetic to each other when I came out here. Not to say that fans in Milwaukee didn't like the Bucks, but in lacrosse, when I would talk about the Bucks before they became like NBA champions, and even then it was slightly dubious, it was met with eye rolls, shrugs of the shoulder, like, oh, high school basketball, so much better than that. Don't fucking kid yourself. No, it's not. But that was the, basic proposition that I was given. Now that the Bucks are champions and consistently good, you'll start to get some golf claps for it. But I just don't think the fan base for Milwaukee's basketball is what the Packers are, of course, or what the Brewers are. It's just different. So yeah, with Giannis being out, I don't think they know anything different than we do, except for, people are largely apathetic to it. Like, oh, okay, they should win. And if Giannis isn't playing, what am I going for?
Well, yeah, I guess the way that I look at this is that you have the PG Bucks and then you have the current Bucks. The PG Bucks are the pre-Giannis Bucks. So that's where a lot of people really didn't give a crap. They didn't really have all that great of a team. I mean, they had some, players back in the day, Vin Baker and shit, but there really wasn't anything great those, 90s years or whatever. So ever since Giannis has been there, the Bucks have turned it around with a lot. I guess the bandwagon has come together. For the Bucks.
Yeah, there were different stretches for Milwaukee in the 80s, right? The Bucks won the third most games of any team in the league. So the Lakers, Celtics, Bucks won the most games during the decade of the 1980s. The 90s started off okay. You still had Terry Cummings. You had some guys, a little bit of a soft spot. And then you get the George Karl renaissance, right? Late 90s, early 2000s. Ray Allen, Glenn Robinson, Vin Baker. I mean, that team went to the conference championship versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Probably should have made it to the finals if they hadn't gotten jobbed by the officials. And they would have taken on the Lakers and lost just like Philadelphia did. But that's not the point. The Bucks have had good teams, but you're right. The lead up to the Giannis era was what? We had Michael Redd. There were Brandon Jennings flashes. Jabari Parker never panned out. Think about that. Jabari Parker was the number 2 pick in the draft out of Duke. And this guy was great as a rookie. I mean, he was really great. Injures himself second year, out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, out of the league. And Giannis was supposed to be like maybe a complementary piece to what Jabari Parker was going to be, the cornerstone of the franchise. Jabari Parker can't even get a job.
Yeah,
that's just crazy, man.
Well, and if you look, Giannis has been in with the Bucks for 10 years, so you can honestly say the last decade for the Bucks has been pretty damn good.
God, was it 2013 when he got drafted?
Yeah, I believe so. He's in his 10th year of the career. That's what it came up. Yeah, it's in his 10th year. I'll double check that.
Wow, 10 years already. That doesn't seem right, but it might be. I guess we could be at like season 8 or 9, 10. Wow. 2013. Yep. I thought he got drafted
2013, 15th pick, 2013.
Wow, that's fucking amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
and he's only 28 years old now.
Yeah, I believe he's 28 years old because he's drafted when he was 18. So yeah.
It helps being a Greek, doesn't it?
Yeah,
helps being a Greek. All right, so the Major League Baseball season often running. A lot of different interesting stories from yesterday. Clayton Kershaw gets his 200th career win. That's a milestone that not many pitchers will reach. The Pittsburgh Pirates continue to win baseball games. That's something I didn't see coming. They've got 11 victories on the season. But the Milwaukee Brewers, who we spend most of our attention focusing on here, at least on the Sports Carnival, they picked up their 13th win of the season. Impressive over Seattle last night, 6-5. Took them 11 innings. But Christian Yelich, Willy Adames, talk about powering the Brewers offense. Between the two, 5 hits and 5 RBI. This morning's poll question, Matt, and I've got you looking at our Facebook group page. I've got the Twitter feed at the Sports Carney up in front of me. This is our question. With the Brewers winning again and Yelich hitting another home run, which puts him on pace now, by the way, for 27 on the season. I'm curious to get your take on this. Is Christian Yelich finally back? All right. And the ways that you can answer the question, yes, no, or too soon to say. Matt, early results here on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney have 57% of respondents saying it's still too soon to say. 21.5% apiece tied between yes and no. What are our audience members on the Facebook group page looking like there? What are they saying about that question?
Facebook's basically following in line with Twitter. 83% say it's too soon to say. 16% say no, and a 1% says yes.
Oh, that's a lot different because
I would go with
21% here say yes, but so 80 some.
83% is leading the way. Too soon to say.
Okay, I think that for Yelich, it's a good sign to see him stepping up and playing this way right now, right? Because the Brewers need him to be some sort of force on offense. And for him, so he hit a leadoff home run. I think it was in the second inning. The Brewers were up 1-0, and he hits a leadoff homer, puts them up 2-0. That's the thing that the Brewers are going to need from him. They don't need 40 necessarily, but if he's on pace now for 27 and he hits 27 dingers, maybe he can knock in 85, 88 RBI.
Right.
Can bat a respectable 250, 270. I'll take that as a leadoff guy. Now, he will never be confused for an all-time great. He will never be confused for a Hall of Famer, like at all, ever. That's like completely out of the question with those numbers. But if he could do that for the Brewers, I think that would be a good thing for them to have. Listen, I was a little surprised to see the team start off this well offensively. I didn't see it coming. The continuation of Yelich's ascension, though, I'm happy about. Do I know if he's back yet? No. I'm amongst the 83 or 57% that say a little too soon to tell right now, but it's at least a good start.
It's a good start. I guess where I'd go with Yelich, the number that I'm looking for Yelich is 130, and I'm not talking a bad average. I'm saying 130 games that hopefully he can stay healthy and play at least, majority of the season, because obviously he's got the injury bug that's been hurting him a lot. The Brewers obviously unfortunately had another injury go down yesterday with the Garrett Mitchell, their center fielder. So they're gonna need Yelich.
What happened with him? I didn't see it. The game.
He went in for a steal, and then he was sliding in the third, ended up hurting his shoulder somewhat when went back out in the. They ended up pulling out the game, went back in the outfield, but they ended up pulling him out of the game. So I guess he's got a shoulder strain. So it's just one of those things I'm looking at right now. He departed in the 10th inning. It was a little bit of a damper, they're saying, but they pulled off the 6-5 injury. But it's a shoulder issue, right shoulder issue. So between Corbin Burns, Woodruff, and now this injury, so they just have a little bit of the injury bug this early in the season.
Burns is going to be fine. They said he's throwing before his next start, so he'll be making his next start. So Corbin Burns will be fine. I haven't seen what Brandon Woodruff's status is yet, but Burns apparently is going to be, like I mentioned, throwing before his next start, and he'll be making his next start. Something else happened yesterday. Shohei Ohtani went deep, hit another homer. Shohei's going to be making another start on the mound. Coming up in the next series, he got scrapped versus, I want to say New York. He got scrapped versus New York because he had to start against Boston the other day, which he was just absolutely dealing in. But then it got postponed for over an hour and a half due to rain, so he ended up leaving in the second inning. Shohei Ohtani, I don't have his numbers in front of me right now, but Matt, I want to say his ERA this year is around like 0.47.
That doesn't surprise me.
Shohei Ohtani is batting near 300, so he's batting like 288. He's already got, I think, 4 home runs on the season, and he's pitching some of the best baseball of his entire career, maybe the best baseball of his entire career. This guy is he's unbelievable. I mean, he's just absolutely unbelievable. And while we're not Angels fans here in the Midwest, I get it. We're Brewers fans. As a baseball fan, I hope that you can appreciate what Shohei Ohtani is doing. Like, I really, really do, because this dude is fucking unreal. And we have never, ever seen anything like this. And the Babe Ruth comparisons, I'm sorry, are almost they're unfair to Shohei Ohtani, because Babe Ruth would never play in today's major leagues. Like, never. He would never play. He might not have played in the Negro leagues. Like, Babe Ruth was a fat, out-of-shape hack who played against a whole bunch of people that had second jobs besides Major League Baseball, right? Like, the mythology that we give Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and these guys is nuts. But Shohei Ohtani, what he is doing, it's just unworldly. We've never seen anything like this. He is one of one.
Yes.
One of one.
It's a unicorn. It just sucks that he's playing in for the Los Angeles Angels.
That ain't going to be for long.
I know.
That ain't going to be for long.
The world needs to, if the world doesn't know, they will soon when he goes and plays for a different team. That's for sure. But he's so, not only is he fun to watch on whether he's pitching, batting, playing the field or whatever, he's just the dynamic of who he is and just the crowd that gets behind him. I mean, he's just a once in a lifetime player for, I think in my lifetime for sure, for just what he can do on the field. So
not just your lifetime, bro. This has never happened in the history of Major League Baseball, like ever. What Shohei Ohtani is doing has never been done. And I'm just pulling up his pitching stats.
I was trying to pull it up, but I wasn't able to bring it.
Yeah, you go to ESPN, you go to stats. All right,
buddy.
It's very simple. ESPN's got Shohei Ohtani, 4 games started. He's got 3 quality starts. He's got a 2-0 record right now, a .86 ERA. 0.86. So he is not even giving up a full run.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got 27 strikeouts in 4 games. Yeah. Think about that.
It's
and
unbelievable.
he's pitched 21 innings and has 27 strikeouts. He's only given up 6 hits this year. He's given up 6 hits in 4 games. So listen, and I know that people like to wax poetic, baseball especially, because it's, old-timey, and these people from, 140 years ago, we like to look back and say, and those were real records again. They had Skippy Johnson versus Bum Showalter over there. Come on, whatever. This thing right here with Shohei is just, it's a fantastic spectacle. And when watching him in that World Baseball Classic, right? Mm-hmm. Like the final pitch, he strikes out his teammate, considered the best hitter of modern, at least of the modern times, and maybe of all times, in Mike Trout. He ends the World Baseball Classic, wins a championship for Japan like that, and then starts off this season pitching the way that he does, batting the way that he does. And that's the other thing too. Like I forgot to even look at exactly where he is as far as his batting stats are concerned.
That's what was all I had when I was looking him up. So yeah,
right here, we've got it on the stats. So he is batting 300 on the season. Okay. He's got 4 homers, 11 RBI, batting 300. Look, this guy Shohei, again, I'm not going to sit here and spend all the Brewers time and energy talking about it, because I know you guys like Milwaukee baseball, and we should. They're playing great. But if you're a baseball fan, you have to love this guy. You absolutely have to love this guy. And I can't wait to talk to Mike Schmidt about this when he comes up in about 5 minutes or so, because Mike's a baseball guy.
Yep.
Mike's a Shohei guy. We talked to Mike about that World Baseball Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When I watch Shohei right now, though, every single time he's on TV, I'm trying to find him, right? Like I'm trying to find him every single time he is on TV, because he's just the best watching all of Major League Baseball. And I want to say this: ask and ye shall receive. Mike Schmidt jumps aboard the Sports Carousel right now. Mike, I just mentioned your name. I said I couldn't wait to get your take on Shohei Ohtani, what this guy is doing with respect to Major League Baseball, world baseball, if you will. I'm just enthralled. Everything that he does is awesome. He's hitting 300. He's got a .86 ERA, 27 strikeouts in 21 innings. And, listen, no offense to Babe Ruth apologists worldwide, but Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player I think I've ever fucking seen in my entire life, and probably anybody's life.
Well, it's either him or his teammate, I think, is the key here. It's either him or the other one that plays for the Angels that I've ever seen, and what we have, like what he is doing. Like Ohtani has a 916 OPS right now, and Mike Trout has a career like 1.1 OPS. Like he has a career OPS over 1.0. He's getting on base. He averages getting on base every time he goes to the plate. Like he's unbelievable what he does. He averages a base every time he steps up to the plate. So it's either him or the other one that we kind of forget about at this point now, because what Ohtani does every fifth day on the mound seems to be something that we've never seen before on the mound. And so we talked about this during the World Baseball Classic, Dave. This guy is something we've never seen. And the fact that we've never seen him actually play, because none of us ever watch him play, is again one of these things where I look back on the things in my lifetime, and I look at the Packers only winning one Super Bowl with Favre and one Super Bowl with Rodgers. That is a huge miss in sports history. The fact that we've had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on the same team and they don't even play in the postseason, none of us ever even get to watch him. We have a regionalized viewing market for baseball, is a travesty. Like that none of us there's not even access to watch this guy play. We're going to look back and really regret those chances and really miss what sports, like how romantic sports can be for all of our lives, and what it means to us and the connection to these players. And we're not going to have any connection to two of the greatest players that have ever played, if not the greatest players, and for sure the two in this era.
Yeah, I guess, Coach, I agree with you on that. I was going to throw this out for you, too, because I have a baseball question to get away from the football, obviously, because Dave brought up earlier, and Kershaw came out, got his 200th win yesterday. Obviously, that's a milestone. I also think that winning pitchers is one of the worst stats, or most useless stats, easy for me to say, in all of sports. Where do you sit on just pitchers winning, starting pitchers winning and winners and losses? Jesus, I'm struggling.
Well, I mean, that's why I think like CC Sabathia, being at 297 or whatever that was, like that was a chance to see a milestone that used to mean something and used to really be big on, the durability of these starting pitchers. And those are just stats that don't much matter anymore in terms of their career, what they've accomplished. I mean, Clayton Kershaw, it should be considered one of the best left-handed pitchers in the history of the game. He's a pitcher that's around, and he's going to win 200 games. Like that's kind of those things just don't really much matter anymore in terms of that. It's still a meaningful stat, but in terms of like how you compare across eras, you can't use that anymore.
I guess, Coach, where I was coming from with that is because he's going to be known for having a great career, but there's so many other things that happen in a baseball game where I just think that doesn't really show how good of a pitcher he was just by going off of the wins and losses. That's where I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that when I look at, like, I've talked with Dave about this for years. Like, to me, a Hall of Fame player is somebody that you remember. Like, when you think back on the era, you remember famously and not infamously. That these are people that we just can all bring up from our childhood, from years past, that are people that we remember, not Lorenzo Cain. He is not a Hall of Fame type player. But when you look back on each era, it's players that you remember from those eras, players that made an impact, players that were household names, that they were so good that they had that. Clayton Kershaw is obviously one of those things. And it's a shame that he's going to get penalized for his postseason. I don't know. He's still been really good in the postseason. He's had some bad games in the postseason. He hasn't done great in the postseason, or his team hasn't done great in the postseason, or he's given up a home run to the Astros in the postseason that he'll be remembered for. And that's really too bad. But when you look at him, he's undeniably, he'll be remembered similarly to an Aaron Rodgers, a guy who had some of the best stuff that was out there, a guy who, when you watched him, you thought, this guy, you're watching Clayton Kershaw because he's going to do something unbelievable. He's going to throw a 64 mile an hour curveball that's going to drop 4 feet in the zone. You're going to watch something spectacular with Clayton Kershaw, but he just didn't get it done on the other side of it. But I still think you still got to watch guys, and people will be remembered for how just great they were and what they meant to us as players. I think back to the Kings teams with Vlade Divac, and you think back on Steve Nash and the Phoenix teams, that those teams never were able to get over the hump. They never were able to win a championship, but we all remember those teams. They were all pivotal to the game for us as we remember and look back on it.
Yeah, I think that's the main takeaway from the Hall of Fame for me too. It's like, if you can't tell the story of the game, whatever game that is, without mentioning X, Y, or Z player, coach, whatever that is, famously, not infamously, right? So Ron Artest, my bad, you're not going to be a Hall of Famer. But if you can mention those names famously, then yes, you should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, I think, to Mike, your point about the starting pitching stats not matter, and I see what you're saying, Matt. There's like so much that goes on in baseball. How do you credit a guy with a win as a pitcher? But there used to be a time in which your starting pitchers went the distance. I mean, that was considered the thing. If you're a starting pitcher, you're pitching 9 innings. Yep. Like, there may be a reliever, there may be a closer, but you're out here to pitch for the game. That's your job today. So in those eras, the wins and losses looked a lot different. Now guys don't even pitch 5 innings in some cases. So it's hard to accumulate the wins in that particular respect. And you know who's going to be really hurt by that? Shohei Ohtani. Like, his career win-loss record from a pitching standpoint won't look great. Not to his discredit. The Angels can't score fucking runs. Yeah. So there's another issue with that. But I think for Clayton Kershaw, to both of your points, Hall of Famer for sure. 200 wins in today's major leagues is a massive milestone. And yes, while he's had issues in the postseason, like Rodgers, he does have one championship. If the Dodgers get back to it and he's part of it, great. I think it's also the end of the line for Kershaw, which does make this a little different for him than Rodgers as well, because at least Kershaw played all of his major league career in Los Angeles with one team, and we won't be able to say that for Aaron Charles Rodgers. So that's where they'll split a little bit too.
Dave, you know what? How can we have this conversation without remembering Pud Galvin? Without remembering Kid Nichols, who has the 7th most wins, and Pud Galvin has the 5th most wins. And how can we even have this conversation without Tim Keefe? We all remember Tim Keefe, 10th most wins of all time at 342. I mean, Eddie Plank, 13. I mean, how can we even be having this conversation without mentioning the likes of Mickey Welch, who has 307 wins? I mean, these are things that are just, we can't even have this conversation without mentioning those guys. And what they did in 1933, when there was no players other than white players playing Major League Baseball, and half of the country was, preparing to fight a war or coming off of fighting a war or whatever.
Thank you. Malnourished thanks to the Great Depression too. Yeah, and remember when everybody was basically eating, grits, whey, possibly some lard with some rice, just
bathtub gin.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you were lucky, if you could get your hands on it. Mike, I think that, again, Major League Baseball and the greatness of Major League Baseball is its history. We know that. And going back through the records is always fun. But this is where now I would almost see era-specific Hall of Fames come into play. Like, I could see Cooperstown opening up, but they call this the modern era, but it's not. If you want to go 1900 to, let's say, integration, let's call that era 1, okay? Or even 1880 something, Major League's origins to integration, we'll call that era 1. Then we're going to have to use the amphetamine era, because once Ted Williams came back from, World War II with fucking amphetamines. Everybody's hopped up, and we love counting those stats as people were running around the bases all on fire with speed. So then we'll have the speed era. Then we can have the steroid era. And now we can have the woke era in which we know everything is wrong, bad. And we could have that. So we could have all these different eras of the Hall of Fame.
I like this. I think you're missing the cocaine era with Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry. And I think you're missing, the era before the woke era should be the sleep era, because Major League Baseball has been asleep at the wheel. So we went from steroids to sleeping for about, a 20-year period there before we've now gone woke. So, yeah, I think we missed the cocaine era and we missed the sleeping era, but both of those things got to be factored in there.
I feel that you're absolutely right. The collusion era, we also have to put in that too, because when the players sued Major League Baseball for anti-free agency collusion and were found to be right. So yeah, Major League Baseball, the sordid history with I guess a shifting morality. But again, for what it's worth, Shohei Ohtani right now is just giving me thrills. And I love this guy. I love what he stands for as a baseball player. I have no idea what he stands for in his personal life because I can't understand a fucking word the guy says. So I have no idea what kind of person he is and don't really care, but he is a great baseball player. And for that, I'm excited. Mike, the Brewers are also playing some hot baseball right now, 13-5. Another win last night, 11 innings over Seattle. Christian Yelich has had his moments this year, has also looked much like he had for the last couple of years. And perhaps I'm reaching, but I've got the poll question this morning, and I'm curious to get your take. With Yelich on pace now for 27 home runs, do you think he finally might be back, or is it still way too soon to say? The season's only 18 games in right now.
Dave, he currently has an OPS of 716 right now this year. 2022, he had an OPS of 738. In 2021, he had an OPS of 736. No. So to say that he's back, I don't think he's back, because his numbers, are not going to be close to 18 and 19. And we know that, where he had an OPS over one and was unbelievable, right? But I think when you look at is he back, he's not even doing as well as he's done the last couple of years right now. Yes, he has some more power where he's got the home runs have kind of come, I guess, but he's got 3, whatever, 4, whatever. But I don't think that he's back necessarily. Is he serviceable? Sure. But he still needs to find a way to be more consistent for what they need in this spot. Do they need him to hit it? Can he hit? If he hits 25 home runs, 27 home runs, that's great. Would we consider that a back year? What at the end of this is back? When we say if he hits 20, is he back? If he hits 20 and has a 715 OPS, is that back? To me, that's not back. Now, if he plays in 155 games and he has an OPS of 750 and he hits over 20 home runs, then he's back. He's been durable. He plays in those games. He provides good defense. But, in terms of being back, it's too early to tell on just the overall body that's going to be at the end of this thing. But I don't think he's back by any stretch of the imagination. He's still 125 points below his career average in OPS. So I don't think that he's back right now. I think we're seeing some flashes of some power, but that hasn't been the issue. We've seen flashes of power the last 2 years. It just would then go away for 30 or 40 days at a time, right, and then come back in a little short flash. We need to see him be consistent. So I don't think home runs is the number here for Christian Yelich. I think we need to be watching on-base percentage and OPS. That's going to be, to me, that's going to be his worth, because that will show how consistently he's having any sort of power and not hitting singles and getting walks.
Well, and I think he's got his career parallel is very similar to Jason Hayward's right now too, out there, coach. Obviously, with he started out pretty hot for the Dodgers, but now maybe has 2 or 3 home runs himself, but he can't get on base either. So I'm agree with you on that. But I got a football question for you. It's not really all that big of a football question, coach. So there's breaking news in Cincinnati yesterday that the Bengals have now become a partner with the Queen City staple of their Skyline Chili. What is your feelings and opinions on chili with spaghetti noodles?
Well, I'm all for it. First of all, we got to go back to this. Jason, you're pulling out Jason Hayward. You are such a Cubs homer. That is unbelievable. This is ridiculous. Jason Hayward, you might as well have pulled out Kid Nichols and Pud Galvin for the comparison. Only Cubs fans even know who Jason Hayward is.
No, but he's playing for the Dodgers now is what I'm saying. And they both had great careers. They're both great outfielders.
We did not know that.
What's that?
That Jason Hayward was playing for the Dodgers.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh my God,
Jason Hayward. I knew him for like that 2-season stretch in Chicago. I've never heard his name.
Oh, no.
Since.
So that's what I was saying. Is so they, so supposedly
he wasn't even a league MVP. That's not even a close comp.
No.
Jason Hayward was like okay for a hot minute.
He's a Gold Glove defender.
Okay.
Was great with Atlanta. Came over to the Cubs.
Atlanta.
Yeah. I know. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying Yelich was great with the Marlins too. Is what I was saying, Coach. He got the contract from the Brewers. Now at the end of their careers, they're liabilities in the batter's box, but they can play defense.
Yeah, that was a stretch.
I don't think I can bring up if you want me to.
I'm not worried about the stretch. I'm worried about the Cubs homerism right there with that thing. That was
I'm happy they got rid of him.
That was Cubs homerism right there. But let's move on to Skyline Chili. Skyline Chili is utterly famous for what they have. I think, who doesn't love a good carb load? Get a good carb load. You get some protein in there. Maybe we get some beans in there. Beans are good for you. So I think that I'm all for this because it's just the additional carb load for the big day that you're going to have coming up after that.
Yeah, the goulash is one of our Facebook group members mentioned. Yeah, is basically what the chili would. Listen, I've had it before. It's fine. I don't know that I would have, I guess it's a local thing. I mean, it's fine. I've had it before. I don't know if it's one of those things where I'm like, oh my God, I'm driving to Cincinnati today for meat chili with noodles, but it was fine. I had it at Bill Michaels' house once for a party because he's from Cincinnati and he served that to us. All right, listen, I'm going to scrap everything else that I had for you. And now that you're back in NSU's, sunny confines here with the field behind you, I asked Matt Janis yesterday when we had him on how spring practice was going. They're 10 deep right now. Schmitty, how's spring practice going for you? Who's popping? What are your thoughts on how things are looking for you boys so far, shaping up for this spring?
Yeah, we got a couple days left. Spring game is Saturday at 2:00. That should be a lot of fun. We've got we're in pads and practicing and playing and doing some tackling and things like that. So yeah, we're in it. We're playing full on spring ball stuff here now that we've been back here these 2 weeks. So we feel good about where everything's at. We got some nice weather. It's just funny. It's gonna be like 43 and windy on Saturday, and people are like, it's gonna be a great day for the spring game. I'm like, is it? Like that's okay. I guess we're just we've had a really rough winter, so I think we'll have a lot of people out. Sweet holders up. I guess this shoulder here up in this these boxes up here are gonna be there. So we'll have some people here. We'll have a big recruit day, but spring football has been a lot of fun. It's good to get back out there. The reality is, the older you get, the more you're a head coach. You watch some stuff and you're like, man, how much carryover is this gonna help? And so I think we're just trying to build in some things that may actually carry over at this point, and then evaluate your young guys. Make sure that your young guys are ready to play and get ready to go. I see Foreman's question there. Yeah, we do. We have Jackson Warren from La Crosse Central. So Jackson's up with us, and he's a really good player, really good young player, wide receiver for us. Super bouncy, super springy, super explosive. He's working through a little injury right now, so I don't think he's going to play in the spring game on Saturday. But he's had a great year. He's had an awesome spring, and just love the guy. He's like, I just love him. It's like, I'd love to be able to talk lacrosse stuff with him and just have a good time. So Jackson Warren is a good dude and a really good player for us. Yeah,
I remember hearing his name quite a bit out here in lacrosse when he was playing for Central. This is something Matt asked Janice yesterday. How many guys do you have currently on your roster right now? Like, what do the cuts start to look like for you? Like, what kind of roster can you carry into this season, size-wise?
Yeah, we're pretty light. We got probably 72, 73 guys practicing right now. I think we're at 82 on the roster, 81 on the roster. So this spring we're pretty light. For us, and with COVID, how it's structured for us, we have scholarships, so we're different from those guys where we have a lot of guys that graduate in the fall. So we have a lot of guys that graduate in the winter that they're done after the fall. So all of our seniors are done. Most of the movement at this level kind of happens at that time, because if you're trying to transfer and move up, you got to get there in the spring. It's not great to transfer during the season or during the summer because they've already picked their guys. Their spring, guys trying out on the team basically at the Division I level, they got to be there in the spring, and they got to be there for all their winter workouts and spring ball and doing that carrying into the season. So yeah, we're kind of down there. We've got a big recruiting class coming in of 35. plus some transfers we've already signed. We're going to sign some other transfers. We're probably going to lose some. We'll end up right around 120. That's kind of the number that we want to try to get to is 120. So we add some, we lose some. That's in there, but that's right around where we'll be at. So right now we're kind of making like, hey, we feel like you can play. We're not going to get a transfer. You got to step up. Here's what we need you to do this summer. Or, as we get through this week and in the next week, we haven't seen enough. We're likely going to bring in a transfer to compete with you. So you got to just know that there's going to be other competition that's going to be there. So having those are really the conversations for us that kind of come out of spring ball that may be a little bit different from a UWL. Just because the transfer portal is just a little bit different here, whereas we can go and really go get some guys with scholarship money, NIL stuff that we can go get.
Coach, I checked out your schedule earlier today, and then I saw you and Coach Janice have a team in common. I was wondering how often that happens because both of you guys are supposedly going to be playing Northern Michigan this year. I was wondering how often that happens, and obviously with the relationship that you guys have, is that something where you guys would talk or bounce back? Because I think UWL plays them first before you guys do. Is that a conversation you'll talk to them about? Is that something you guys talk about in general?
Yeah, 100%. Like we're going to have stuff that we'll carry over. I'm going to for sure make that call and talk to Matt about how that went. I mean, obviously that's going to happen. I think that's cool, but the difference is they play them so early and then we play them so late. So
right.
Like there's just a big discrepancy that's going to be in there. They're going to change so much because of having a new head coach there and just being a whole new team. I don't even know what they have going on their team right now. They got a lot of guys coming in, a lot of guys coming out. You see the transfer portal. We recruit a lot of similar type guys because we're a similar type place as Northern Michigan is, where we're kind of isolated up north, team trying to break into the top part of their conference. So, we have a lot. We see what's kind of happening over there. But, yeah, we're definitely going to talk. They play Minnesota Duluth, who's in our conference game 1. So we play Duluth game 2. So we'll have extensively watched their first game anyway. So I actually think it's going to be the other way around, that Matt's going to probably want to talk to us,
right? For sure.
DC with Northern Michigan because we're analyzing their game because they played Duluth right off the bat.
Yeah, your alma mater, UWL. This is not a patty cake schedule. They've got ahead for them in the 2023 season. This is a all gas, no brakes type of a deal. Now they do leave for Italy. I think it's less than 40 days, like 35 days. So that gives them 10 additional practices over there. I'll be curious to see how that works out. Mike, I wish I could send some of Italy's fine weather there to you in South Dakota. It looks nicer today than it did the other day. So there is that. But, buddy, I'm curious, one final question for you. Is there a way online we can watch spring ball? Because I watched all NSU's games online through your website over the last couple of years. But is that going to be something we can tune into online as well?
No streaming, Dave. We just, the prices are so high that we're trying to drive demand in the stadium up.
Gotcha.
I'm just kidding. We're not. It's free for all to come here. We just will not have it on. It is going to be fun. I'm going to be on like the referee's mic. So we're going to have some really fun stuff kind of going on and talking through it. We're going to try the XFL. Have you been watching almost everybody's been watching the XFL. I love the XFL. Like love the XFL.
We're there together, dude.
We're doing some of those rules. We're doing 35-second play clock. We're doing the kickoff rules. We're doing the point after try rules. So we're going to be doing the rules of the XFL for our spring game.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Dude, all right. So, and I hadn't thought about this specifically, but yes, XFL fans, both Matt and I have been tuned into this. And listen, my history in minor league sports, working in a couple of leagues makes me a fan of all of these things, at least initially. I like to see how they go. What kinds of conversations, if any, have your players, Division II type players had with you, or even have you heard about, with respect to the XFL? I mean, is there serious interest in like, hey, how do we get a tryout? Do you know somebody there? I mean, if at all, have those conversations happened?
Oh yeah. There's stuff happening all the time. We're in touch with tryouts and ways for guys to find them and XFL agents having XFL connections and making sure that guys are duly qualified to represent you in the NFL, the CFL, the XFL, so that they can work through that. So for sure their interest level as fans, I don't think young people are interested in anything other than what's happening that day on their social media feed or whatever. So I don't know how interested they are, but in football, I can tell you this. Football people are very in tune to what's happening in the XFL and love watching this. It's so much faster. the 10-minute halftime is so fast.
Yes.
Dude, it is fantastic.
Is there one team that you follow in particular, Coach?
Well, I'm following the Washington team because they have Michael Joseph on, who we recruited at the University of Dubuque. He's led the XFL in interceptions. He had the 2 return for touchdowns early on. That guy played for us at the University of Dubuque. We recruited him when I was there. So I've had a rooting interest there. But how can you not love watching St. Louis and watching those guys? And how can you not love watching DiNucci with Seattle? So like that whole crew, I love watching all those teams right there.
So I know for a fact that guys like Ben DiNucci, Luis Perez, others are going to get a shot again in the NFL. And then when I was working in the UFL, Josh McCown had been basically a cast-off. He resurrected his football career. I mean, Josh McCown was going to be teaching in high schools. That was going to be it. He plays in the UFL. Then he gets a job back in the NFL as a backup. And now he's an assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the XFL, I think, is, again, a great platform for those like A.J. McCarron who want their kids to see him play. A.J. McCarron could have taken a backup job in the NFL. He would have been a second or a third string guy, but his kids would have never seen him play, right? He would have just been holding the clipboard on the side. So he gets that St. Louis job. I like the timing elements of it. The NFL will never look at the XFL as a minor league, I don't think, but what they will do is start to flex rules, other things that are working from the XFL, and they'll put it in their game. Final question. Jason Breacher said, or asked us this. We did not cover this morning, Breach, but do you participate or boosters participate in NIL? I know you mentioned the term NIL, but what's that like, I guess, navigating for you, Coach, if it's a difficult task at all?
Oh, it's very difficult out here because we rely on our boosters and supporters just to support our program and scholarships and things like that. State law requires that South Dakota can't use state money for athletic scholarships. So we have $1.8 million we got to find a way to raise every single year just to support our scholarships. And that's our biggest competitive advantage. But yes, we do have some things where they are actually doing it. This is not pay to play like Division I is. Division I basketball is strictly pay to play at this point. It has nothing to do with actual name, image, and likeness. College football, for the most part, it's pay to play. It's not name, image, and likeness. We definitely have some name, image, and likeness where guys are promoting things on social media. We have some guys doing car dealership commercials and things like that. So we do have some things like that. But it's tough because I think that's what was the issue was up top was guys didn't want to actually work to get that money, and so then it became pay to play. And same thing happens here where you have some of that, and that doesn't always sit well. So you got to make sure that it's a strong relationship, and you got to make sure that it's not going to affect the whole program for those guys. But again, if you've got some great players, we've got a couple great players. I think it's great to promote them, and I think a lot of the local companies, because Northern State is the show here, I think that it really trumps a lot of other things that people are watching. So yeah, it's part of what we do for sure.
Well, I think it's a great thing for the empowerment of the student athlete to be able to take NIL deals. Like the pay to play thing is a little bit different because that's essentially giving an under the table salary to a player. But like any kid in college that's not an athlete, if you're a great chemistry student, you can go out and work for a lab, make money because of your name, image, likeness, and grades. I think the players are in a good way to do that too. But listen, guys and gals, the only way to go get that money is to be a part of it, right? And you have to be able to put on your pimp hat and say, okay, I'm ready to talk all about your brand. That to me should be the baseline of the agreement. Mike, we've taken up so much of your time. Awesome as always. Appreciate you, dude. You rock. Go Wolves. I'm excited about your spring game. Next week, I guess we can talk about it. Even if we can't see it, I'll be curious to see how it all went for you guys. Spectacle anyways, should be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'll really dig into those Jason Hayward stats here right now, and just make sure that I'm up to date on those things. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
Oh, Mike Schmidt, you rock. I just love it every single time Mike's on this show. I mean, he's just got such, awesome takes. No bullshit coach speak. from Mike Schmidt. And I'm really glad that Jason asked that question about NIL because, Matt, you and I talk a lot about the different ways in which sports is, operated today and all that. I think it's just fascinating, the different levels. D3, we talked to Janice. Is there NIL for these guys? Yeah, sure. Some, a little bit, I guess. D2, a lot more. D1. As he mentioned, it's straight pay to play now. These guys are getting salaries. You want to come? I mean, fuck, Krzyzewski did that with Zion Williamson. They bought that kid's parents a house. They gave him a job. Nobody's cleaning this thing, right? But it is interesting, like Jason Breacher asked, how that might affect a team like NSU. And you can hear from Mike, it does. I mean, it does, because you don't want somebody, let's say you've got a big time transfer quarterback like they have coming in, right? This guy might have a big time name comparative to some other guys. Well, maybe he could, and I'm not suggesting this is the case, but maybe he could take some money and not really have to do anything to promote because it'll just be assumed or understood, as opposed to your starting left tackle. He might have to go out and actually chop wood and then be in a video and, they'll post something to social media. So I can see how that could create, a little bit of an issue. But I know that really strong coaches like Mike, they ultimately nip that shit in the bud before it becomes a problem. I mean, Bryce Young for Alabama got $1 million a year. I don't hear anybody else bitching about that on the team. The coaching, I think, really does a lot to sort of mitigate that.
Yeah, I agree with Mike with what he was saying too. The NCAA, when it comes to basketball, is definitely pay to play. Like the Nigel Pack kid that ended up signing with Miami and all these other things. I mean, that's basically what's going to be happening with that.
And football's basically the same thing too.
Yeah, it's just less people to deal with on smaller rosters.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to. So,
yeah, you betcha. All right, I want you to do me a favor. Pull up our Facebook group page, and let's take a look at the poll question this morning. We've got this up here, and I think Mike just made some great points about OPS and where Yelich is at. I went a little knee-jerk, and this is a hot take from me because I'm watching Yelich yesterday hit that homer between Yelich and Adames, 5 hits and 5 RBI. Brewers win 6-5, so I'm happy. They're 13-5. Is Yelich back? He's on pace for 27 homers. Mike basically told us that no, unless you count just home runs as back. But what do you say? 56.3% of you on our Twitter feed say it's too soon to say. 25% say no, he is not back. And now only 18.8% say that yes, he's back. What does our Facebook group page look like?
Hasn't changed too much, Dave. It's 84% says it's too soon to say still. So
yeah,
I got this for you real quick, brother, and you and Coach can bust my balls all you want. Christian Yelich is 31 years old. Okay. Jason Hayward is 33 years old.
Jason Hayward is somebody we hadn't heard of him in 10 years. That's why I wondered if he was 10 years older.
Yep. They both have the same amount of home runs. The OBS is 100 points apart, but yeah, these two guys were very good for a long time, especially in the defensive side of the ball. And unfortunately, I just don't think they can crack it in the batter's box.
Well, that's still a hell of a Cubs homer pull, though. I mean, it really was, because that's a name that, let's just be fair, not unless you're a Cubs fan, you're probably too familiar with. It's not like Andre Dawson.
Well, I was going with there's just a lot. There's so many baseball players when they hit 30, 33 years old, they start to go downhill. And that's why.
But Yelich is not. See, now he's only 31 now, right?
Yeah.
But Yelich has been bad for the last 3.5, 4 seasons. Yeah. And that's where, again, I think that when we ask for the back thing, Mike was right. Back should be a lot more about how you're getting on base. How is it that you're affecting the team? Right. Can you play? You mentioned 130 as the important number. He said 155. I think 155 would be a stretch for most guys today. Right. But if you can give the Brewers, as Christian Yelich, consistent action at a leadoff spot, give me 250, 270 at minimum. If you can't hit 250, 270 as a leadoff guy, you should not be a leadoff guy, right? That you should be batting ninth or something, or you shouldn't even be fucking playing. But if you can give me 250, 270 leadoff, give me some pop. I'll take 20 homers. But Mike is right. Consistency, you were right. Playing the number of games and then just some pop in the bat would be great. Again, I think a lot of this we wouldn't even worry about if Christian Yelich didn't make the kind of money that he makes. Like if Yelich was making $5 million a year from the Brewers, this is fine. Like he's a fine player, but he's making like the most on the team that they have ever given to any player in the history of the Brewers. Yep. And for what that's worth, the return on investment looks really bad. I mean, this makes Ryan Braun's post-steroid career look like magnificent, right? Like Ryan Braun post-steroids wasn't nearly the player that he was before, but Ryan Braun never hit the skids this bad. I mean, Yelich just hit the skids like he went full on crash test dummy, like pow, and that was it. Anyways, take this morning's poll question. You've got the rest of today to do so. I've got to get out of here because starting at 11, we're open at the Recov. All right, so come and see us. Wings and beer special, Foreman. Come on down, $14, wings and beer And don't forget, tomorrow, 4:20 p.m. on April the 20th, thanks to our friends at Stacks Family Farms and a couple of other contributors like us at the Recov, we're having a 420 party, so it should be a lot of fun. Again, open at 11 today, Recovery Room, 7th and Mississippi Street. Matt, I'll see you in about an hour. And for the rest of you guys and gals, we'll talk to you back here bright and early tomorrow morning on the Sports Carnival. Have a great rest of your day.
Peace.